This is Rob and Corey once again. We're ready to talk some software today.
So everyone, by the end of this submodule, I apologize, you should be able to understand the different types of software that can be found on different operating systems, as well as how to update them as needed. So last time we talked about all the different pieces of computer hardware. Hardware doesn't get us far without software. Simply put, software are the programs your computer runs so that you can see information on the screen. Just be careful not to get stuck in the matrix.
All right, so there's a lot of different types of software, and it can get really, really, really expensive. But one alternative to the paid applications is to go to open source material. Open source simply means that the source code is open to the public. A lot of programmers feel like code should be free, and so they've created free operating systems and programs similar to paid versions like Microsoft Office. The most popular of these operating systems is Linux. However, just because these programs and apps and operating systems don't cost any money does not mean that there's not a price to pay. Most open source programs require pretty advanced computer skills that the novice simply just does not have. So for that reason, we initially recommend using traditional programs until you gain a little more experience.
When we talk about native software, we're referring to anything that comes pre-installed on a computer. So this can be deceiving if you receive a computer from your school. Most schools pre-install programs for their teachers. So many of the programs offered are not native, though they are designed to work for your operating system used by your computer. Macs offer a lot of great native software. Apple has traditionally offered more for the user experience than Microsoft and other PC companies. However, Apple is a closed system, which means that their code is not available to the general public. This means that in order to create a program for Apple, the process is tightly controlled. They are also well known for designing everything with meticulous attention to detail to ensure that it all works well, given the specifics of your computer's hardware. This is also why you won't typically see a Mac OS on anything but a Mac. However, you can custom build machines to do that. Just takes a lot of knowledge to get that done.
And Apple generally frowns on it.
Correct.
Alrighty. PCs, on the other hand, are a little more open with their operating system code. They allow developers to create more offerings, but it also means you don't get very much to start out with. Where Apple offers an entire work suite, Microsoft typically requires either a subscription to their 365 service or the paid app for their Office suite. The typical PC operating system comes with a rich text editor, which is not quite as user-friendly as Word. I mean, it is a word processor, and you can do things like bold and underline and italicize and change colors and whatnot. It's just not as user-friendly. They typically come with Windows Media Player, Skype, and the world's worst web browser, Internet Explorer.
That's changing though. They're taking it out of Windows 10.
I know, they're going to let it die a slow, painful death.
Yeah, but it has a new name.
Oh, great.
I don't know. We'll have to find it out.
Ugh. All right. Well, seriously, it's awful. We'll talk more about how horrible Internet Explorer is later.
Now, since there aren't many native programs on either Apple or PC, that brings us to installed programs. These are programs, you guessed it, installed on the computer. The information and code is stored on the hard drive, and the RAM is used to access them when they are opened. The programs can vary by OS, but many of the more prominent programs offer versions for both Mac and PC.
That's right, Corey. Now, as far as open source apps, again, they're almost always free because of that open source mentality. They include OpenOffice, which is basically a free version of Microsoft Office, GIMP, a free photo editor very similar to Photoshop, and Audacity, a free sound editor. Adobe and Microsoft now offer subscriptions to their most popular software. For Adobe, that means $20 a month for Creative Cloud, which allows users to download and use their Creative Suite for a pretty reasonable price.
Now, just keep in mind that price is for educators, and it does fluctuate sometimes. It goes from $19.99 to $29.99. If you're just a regular user, it is more expensive. Web apps are a little different than installed apps. A web app does not need to be installed on your computer's hard drive because it runs on a server farm. Essentially, that's a large room filled with supercomputers somewhere across the world. You only need to access the internet and probably decent quality bandwidth to actually use it. Your 56 kilobit connection will not cut it. When it comes to bandwidth, imagine an 80-mile-per-hour highway. If you have lots of lanes, then traffic will probably move pretty smoothly. If you have only one lane, then everything is going to get stuck behind that little old granny that insists on going 25 miles an hour. It just helps you better understand what is bandwidth. We want that big highway with a high speed limit. It can get scary sometimes, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, make sure also that you know exactly who you're using the web app from. There are a lot of nefarious people on the interwebs, and some of those lesser known sources could be planting viruses or malware on your computer.
Some of our favorite web apps include Google Apps, Evernote, and Office 365, Microsoft subscription service that we had mentioned earlier. And to be honest, there's a lot of choices out there. Again, as Rob mentioned, just be really careful with the ones that you do choose. And keep in mind that some of these viruses, malware, etc., do come under the guise of these big companies. So if you, for instance, know that you didn't sign up for one of these, but you get an official looking email telling you that something's wrong with your account, but you don't have an account with them, be suspicious.
All right, with various apps, oftentimes programmers and developers will come up with additional tools and features. We call these extensions or add-ons. Google Chrome, which is our favorite web browser, offers thousands of extensions for its users. One of my all-time favorites is AdBlock Pro. It blocks all the ads that are popping up on your screen. It's awesome.
Which is nice. If you've ever used a computer, odds are that you've seen a window pop up requesting some kind of an update. Stop ignoring those updates. They're essential if you want your computer to function properly. A little bit of time every now and then to keep your computer updated is much better than freaking out when your big presentation is about to be ruined because something won't run properly. Also, keep in mind, school districts typically run an update on your computer usually once a week when the computer is turned on. For instance, it could be, I know in our district it was on Wednesdays during the day, so the computers got really slow. But it's essential for your computer to be updated if you want it to run properly.
Well, and it's good to know when your district runs those updates so that you can plan for that.
Yeah, because if your computer becomes a slow beast, you don't want to use it that day or lessen your use of it.
All right, so Macs and PCs differ slightly in their updates. With a Mac, the easiest way to tell whether or not there are any updates is to look at the App Store icon. If there's a little red dot with a white number in it, then you've got at least one update available. So click the icon and choose the Updates category and follow the on-screen directions. They've made it really easy.
With a PC, you'll usually receive a pop-up window requesting a specific update. One of the most common is Java Update. Make sure you update your Java regularly so you don't get a bunch of viruses or malware on your computer. That wraps it up for this basic software. Join us again for basic troubleshooting, and we'll cover all of those little annoying problems that always find a way to ruin even the best days.